Now, on this video, I'm going to show you 2 smart ways on how to own a home stress-free. I know owning a home is a dream for anyone and everyone who is watching this video. And by the way, sometimes I usually see some people getting that a little bit amount of money, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 million. You rush to getting a home and then you kill all your cash flow. Then you get back into hustling and you struggle out there. So is there a way that you can actually use that money that you have on your hands, and instead of risking it and going put it in a quote unquote debt capital? Because obviously owning a home and building a home is never an investment. That is actually a liability to some extent. Okay, now see, on this video I'm going to share with you 2 ways on how you can actually do it in a smart way, and be able to own a home and still retain your purchasing power and still have your cash. Because guess what? In the world of finances, you need to be a smart individual for you to be able to invest. All right. So all what you need to do, come on. I know you love to own a home and such kind of a thing. So just have the patience of watching this video. For God's sake, it's only 14 minutes. Watch it to the end. And by the way, don't forget to hit that like button, and also make sure, because I'm going to talk again on how you can be able to own a car stress-free. So the only thing that you can do so that you don't forget, or maybe you don't miss any of my good video, make sure that you hit that like button and also subscribe. There is a small button written subscribe down there on your right. Hit that magical button. Also comment down below, tell me, do you have a home, and are you in a process to own a home, and how exactly are you doing it? All right, let's get into the business now. We need to be smart. Okay, that's what we said. Let's say here you are. Okay, this is Kevin. All right, Kevin has a little bit money. Kevin has been working hard as much as he can, because Kevin has the dream of owning a home in his life. Okay, and maybe God has been grateful to Kevin, and Kevin has actually managed to set aside a certain amount of money. Let's say Kevin has some 4 million Kenyan shillings somewhere. All right, Kevin, this is the amount of money that Kevin has set aside. Okay, fine. 4 million in terms of US dollars, that's like 40,000 USD. All right, use the concept. Forget about the Kenyan shillings. I know you have followers from Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Africa. Thank you very much for watching, even international one. Okay, now the point is this: use the concept that I'm going to share with you here. Now, Kevin has 4 million somewhere, and Kevin has this dream of owning a home. There is nothing wrong. Maybe Kevin has a family, but there is a smart way you can approach instead of getting this amount of money. So what do you think is going on in the Kevin's head? Kevin is thinking, I'm going to go to my bank, get this money, go do the land breaking, probably grab myself a piece of land maybe worth $1 million bob, and then the rest of the 3 million bob, I'm going to go ahead and do what? And build my home, and there I own a home, and congratulations, Kevin has achieved the dream that everyone thinks about. Okay, that is a primary way. That's an average way of how almost everyone would think about. But there is the rich way of approaching this amount of money and doing it in a smart way. Okay, and I'm going to share 2 ways. One, there is a way that you can go ahead and do. Hey, instead of getting this whole amount of money, maybe go grab yourself a piece of land. There is no debate about it. You can go ahead and grab that piece of land with that $1 million bob, and then you're remaining with 3 million. Or you can decide, instead of taking this amount of money and going ahead and getting what? And building and buying a piece of property to build my home, how about you do this instead? Take this 4 million, go buy a treasury bond. All right, so you take this amount of money, go buy a treasury bond, and that treasury bond that you're buying, how much is it giving you? So you go buy a treasury bond that is giving you, for example, in Kenya right now we have a treasury bond that is going for 18%, but I understand it's kind of going down. Let's give it at 17%. All right, let's go give it at 17%. So 17% of 4 million, how much is that? For those people who understand mathematics, see, 17%, for example, 1 million, 17% of it is 170,000 at the end of the year. All right, so if you were to do 4 times, because you're having 4 million, you multiply by that. I'm actually not doing any tax deductions because this one is tax free. Actually, I should have used 18% because that's what we have right now. But due to the doubts and all those kind of things, let's just use 17%. Okay, now this 17%, how much am I getting at the end of the day? This is 28 to this is 6. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get how much in terms of return? 680,000 at the end of the year. That is the amount of money you're getting as an interest. Okay, now 680,000. If you take this amount of money, instead of buying a piece of property and that, go ahead and invest this money in a treasury bond that is giving you a return of 680,000 at the end of the year. So it means in 2 years' time you kind of have like 2 or something. We have like 1 point something million. In 4 years' time, you're doubling this amount of money. You see where I'm going? Okay, now see, now this is what you do. Once you go invest in this treasury bond, then go to your bank and borrow against that treasury bond. You angel, my friend, are you getting what I'm saying? See, you've taken this amount of money, you've borrowed, you've invested on treasury bond, and then you go to your bank, borrow against the treasury bond. See, now when you borrow against the treasury bond, you can borrow the equivalent amount of money. Or maybe you can borrow, let's say, 3 million or something of sort, all right? So once you borrow that money, now that is the money now you use to build your home. You have an existing bond somewhere that you've borrowed against that is giving you a return of 680,000. Now, what you do, you borrow against that money because obviously by virtue of you raising this amount of money, there is something that you're doing that has given you that. So whatever you are getting plus that what you can actually set aside in terms of loan repayment is what you're actually using. For example, let's say they tell you you're going to be paying, say, like something like 30,000 a month or maybe say 40,000 a month for the next 6 years. For example, all right? Or maybe if you go the mortgage way, they're going to give you a little bit of, but I don't want you to go the mortgage way. Go ahead and go the normal loan way, okay? Then say they tell you that you're going to be paying like 30,000 at the end of the month, okay? Now that 30,000, what do? Fine. If there is a job that you're doing, the 680 will help you. Maybe from the 30,000 that you need to get from your salary if you're employed, you can actually maybe give like 10,000. And then the 20,000 is being catered for by this amount of money. For example, if you take this 680,000 divided by monthly, you can even realize this amount of money is equivalent to paying you back your what? The loan repayment that you need, obviously. You get what I'm saying? Now, this is the point. Now, this amount of money that you're getting as an interest, it's actually enough and equivalent to paying back your loan that you have taken. Let's say you borrow 4 million and this 4 million, let's say maybe it gives, maybe you have to pay with an interest of, let's say on top of that, you need to pay an interest of 1.5 million. Let's say that is a crazy interest that you need to pay back. So therefore, the total loan that you owe a bank, it will be 5.5 million. That is the amount of money that you need to repay back to the loan, to your bank. Now, what happens is this. If you need to pay this amount of money and maybe they have given you 4 years or something of sort or 5 years or something of sort. So, and maybe you took this bond and this bond is going for 8.5 years. For example, there is a bond that goes for 8.5 years in Kenya. Right now, as you speak, there is one that goes for 10 years. Okay. Now, guess what happens? Now, the point is this. Let's say it goes for 8.5 years. In a period of, let's say, 4.5 years, you have actually managed to pay back that specific loan of the bank, which is 5.5. Why? 680 times 2, that will give you approximately like 1.3 million. If you that's 2 years. In 4 years time, that you're gonna get in 2 years, in 4 years time, you're gonna get yourself 2.6. And then you go there in 4 years time, and then you add another 2 years, you're gonna get yourself 5.5 something years, 5 point something billion. That it means in approximately, let's talk of about 5.5 years, not 4.5 years. 5.5 years, you have actually managed to pay back the 5.5 million to that bank. Remember, you still have like a certain period of time to go. 8.5 years minus 5.5 years, how much do you need? You still have like 3 years. 3 years, how much are you going to get in terms of an interest in terms of those 3 years? Again, you can decide in 1 year, you are getting 680,000. So you multiply that by 3. You're going to get yourself, because by 2 giving you like approximately 1.2 billion, 1.3 million. You add another one. So you're going to get yourself like roughly 2 million on top of that. Listen, even if you take 6 years to pay back this amount of money, that is 5.5 million, you're still remaining with 2 years because of this bond that is going for 8.5 years. In 2 years' time, it's going to give you approximately 1.2 million. And guess what? Your 4 million is still there. Guess what happens? Now, at the end of the 8 years period, you've managed to pay back the loan. You have owned yourself a home because you took a loan. And again, on top of that, you have yourself 1.2 million. And the 4 million that you had invested on that specific treasury bond, you still have it. Guess what? After the period of 8.5 years, you have your 4 million and you have on top of that 1.2. Then you're going to have yourself 5.2 years. Come on, even if you decide to buy a car, bro, come on, you still have the money. And that is what we call owning your property in a smart way. Are you guys getting anything out of whatever I'm talking about? Instead of getting this amount of money, go buy a piece of land and start building. In Kiswahili, we say hiyo ni kulalisha pesa. What does it mean? That is just getting money and burying it somewhere. That is not an investment. That is just a liability. Instead of that, invest this money in a treasury bond. Then borrow against that treasury bond. If they require to pay back 5.5 million, and then the bond goes for 8.5 years, at the end of this period, you're going to pay back the 5.5 million. You still have your money because after the maturation of the bond, the government will send back your money. And then you have on top of that 1.2 million as an interest. Guess what? You've owned a home and your money hasn't anything. has something on top of that. So you're going to have your home, you're going to have your money, and you're going to have the interest. But guess what happens if you get this money and buy yourself a piece of property somewhere and you just reside? Guess what happens? You're going to have your home, you do not have the money, and obviously do not have the interest. You bank on something like on a in an 8 years. Do you want to tell me that property is going to be added a value of 5.2 million? Come on, I highly doubt that has not happened unless a very, 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 very crazy thing happens. So that is one way of actually owning a property in Kenya when you can actually do it in a smart way, stress-free. You don't have to have any interest. Putting that money out there, and come on guys, in the world of finances you need to be smart, okay? And by the way, if you need me to take you through on this at a personal level on how exactly you can do it, my number is always on the description of this specific video, all right? And you can do something about it, okay? Go get that number of mine, shoot me a call, or you can shoot me an email. We can have a discussion about that, okay? Now let's go to the second point. The second point, let's go back to the Kevin. Now Kevin here, he has 4 million again, and Kevin won't like to own a home. And Kevin is not an old person. Maybe Kevin is at his early 40s, or maybe 30s, or maybe let's say Kevin, you get what I'm saying? Maybe let's say Kevin is almost now hitting 50. At that particular point, owning a home is no longer a liability. It's really an important thing to own, especially when you're growing old, okay? Now, Kevin, instead of getting this amount of money into just building a residential home where you just want to live by yourself, how about you do this, okay? How about you go ahead? In Kenya, there's something called 50 by 100 piece of property, okay? It looks generally like this, okay? This is 50 assuming, and this is the 100 part. I'm just assuming, all right? This is typically how these properties looks like. Now, this guy has this 4 million. The guy maybe has acquired this piece of property, maybe let's say by 1 million, all right? A million bob. The guy has acquired that. So the guy has a hanging 3 million somewhere. All right, the guy has a hanging 3 million somewhere. This is what I'm gonna build yourself a home. Now, instead of this guy going out there and building a home at centralized, most of the people usually build a home at centralized point of the property here. You know, this is where you have your gate and all those kind of things. Now, it means that the space behind these properties, quote unquote, waste unless you make it a garden or something of sorts. Instead of doing all these kind of things. So how about this guy does this, okay? He has this 3 million. In Kenya, building a unit of 1 bedroom in Kenya will cost you, it depends on where you're watching me from. In Nairobi, maybe a bit expensive, but just give it approximately 500. See, give it approximately 500. It can shoot a little bit high, but just give it approximately 500. All right. So, how much units of 1 bedroom can you actually build with 3 million? You're gonna get yourself like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can get yourself a property. You can get yourself units of 6. You 6 units if you are to use approximately your 5 million. I mean, rather 500k. So now, instead of doing that, how about you build one with 2 bedrooms? Just a normal one. Don't have it look like it's different from the rest. Just have a normal one, but include 2 bedrooms. Then therefore it means you can get, instead of now having the 6 units, now this is what you do. Instead of having the 6 units, you can actually go ahead and have your unit, let's say at the corner here, which is 2B or 2 bedroom, and then you can have the 4 others. You can have 1, 2, 3, or maybe if you don't want to be near your tenants or something, you can build 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one here. Guess what happens? Then maybe you can just secure yourself here. This is where you live. Because we say it's called delayed gratification. Because you don't want to get this. If you're growing old, you don't need just an asset. You need an asset that is generating some cash flow. So instead of having the 6 units that is 1 bedroom, get yourself for 2 bedroom and get the 4 others. Now, this is what you do. Now, out of that 2 bedroom, this is where you live with your family, all right? And then the 4 others that you're having, you're going to actually go ahead and rent them. For example, approximately 1 bedroom, you're going to rent it maybe, let's say, in an 8,000 amount of money. And by the way, 8,000 is way low amount of money, especially if you talk about in Nairobi. So you have 4 units that you actually, renting out there for 8,000. So if you were to take 8,000 multiplied by 4, guess what? At the end of the month, you have yourself 32,000. 32,000. Come on, guess what? This amount of money is enough for you to pay your water bills. This money is enough to pay for your electricity and something of sort. So guess what happens now? See, especially if you're growing old, because I know maybe you're watching this video, you have like 50 years and you have your money and you want to buy yourself or you want to build yourself. You can go ahead and do that specific amount of money, or you can do that kind of a thing. And instead of getting this amount of money, and in Kiswahili, again, we say kulalisha. Kulalisha, it means like you're putting your money in idle way, okay? So you can go ahead and do that amount of money, because this cash that you're getting, this is no, now your home no longer now becomes a liability. Your home now, it's an asset. Did you get what I'm saying, guys? Your home now, it's an asset. It's an asset that is generating, it's an asset that is generating cash flow. It's no longer a liability. It's a cash flow generating asset. It's generating you 32 Gs at the end of the month. Some families can even survive on this amount of money, all right? Because you're not paying any rent, you're not paying nothing. You just pay your water, electricity, and you can pay your food. And maybe you have some kids that you're educating. You can actually go ahead and do what? Now, after some time, you get a little bit of money, you add another unit here, a little bit of money, you get another unit here. So once the compound is full, now you can resell the entire stretch. Maybe you can sell it at, let's say, a 7 million, or even you can sell at double that amount of money. And once you do that, you can get another property. By the time you're flipping these properties in 2 or 3 or 4 times, you're getting yourself a good amount of money. That is exactly what we call growing money, not storing money. Hope I've done something to you. I hope I was a little bit fair on that video, and I hope you've gotten something at the end of the day. So those are 2 ways on how you can do what you call the home hacking, owning a home in a very smart way, so that at least you can be able to grow yourself and do something. Guess what? Whenever you get some money, don't rush to making decision. Just do a little bit of delaying, just a little bit of research. That way you can be able to get the best deal out there in town. All right, guys, guess what? Don't forget, get that time of mine from the description of this specific video. Shoot me a call. Let's get started, because those are the areas of where I talk about, and we talk it in a very practical way. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.